They say revenge stories are timeless, but rarely do they feel this personal. Ghost of Yōtei opens not with sweeping declarations of honor or empire, but with a sacred mercenary scratching 6 names into a sash, 6 debts of blood. Atsu, survivor of a massacre, is no noble samurai torn between duty and dishonor like Jin Sakai before her. She is something harsher, hungrier, a woman who has lived 16 years with nothing but vengeance to sustain her. It's the kind of premise that could easily collapse into familiarity. We've seen vendettas drive games from Sekiro to Assassin's Creed Shadows, yet what makes Yōtei stand apart is not just its cinematic flair or mechanical refinements, but how fully it embodies Atsu's fractured psyche and her mythical reputation as Onryo, a vengeful spirit feared simply for existing. This isn't a tale of codes and honor, it's the story of someone with no code left. And from that scorched foundation, Sucker Punch has built one of the most engrossing open-world revenge odysseys of this generation. Before we dive in, a quick reminder, this is still a growing channel, and every like, comment and share genuinely helps. And I can't thank you enough for the support. Now then Atsu, let's get nerdy. The first thing that struck me about Ghost of Yōtei is how confidently it shifts the stage. Where Ghost of Tsushima was bound to the Kamakura-era invasion and its samurai code, Yōtei moves us 3 centuries forward to the early Edo period. This isn't Tsushima's noble resistance. This is Izo, modern-day Hokkaido, a frontier land once beautiful and brutal. It feels less like a traditional Japanese province and more like a mythical wild north. A place where exiled ronin, wandering mercenaries, and lawless outlaws collide under snow-draped mountains and fire-lit shrines. Mount Yōtei itself looms over everything. Its peak is visible from almost every region, a constant reminder of the mountain that gives the name to the game, and the spirit of vengeance that haunts its slopes. Climbing it is more than just a traversal set piece. It's a metaphor for Atsu's journey, one of endurance, inevitability, and the stark beauty of a land carved by violence and ice. The moment you reach the summit and look across Ezo's plains and rivers is one of those rare open-world vistas that genuinely takes your breath away. Sucker Punch has clearly learned from Tsushima's success and its limits. Ezo feels more dynamic than Tsushima ever did. Storms roll in suddenly, turning once idyllic fields into muddy, drenched battlefields. Blizzards blanket the land in white silence. Auroras ripple across the night sky when you least expect it. Each district has its own palette. Crimson autumn ridges, frozen wetlands where mist clings to the surface, coastal cliffs where waves crash with a violence equal to Atsu's quest. It is a land of striking contrast, beauty and cruelty constantly intertwined. What elevates Yōtei beyond visual spectacle is how alive it feels. Villagers tell you rumors of nearby shrines and hidden dens. Wanderers may join you at a campfire, sharing a song or a story that nudges you towards something unexpected. You might crest a hill and find a monk under a tree, or a wolf dragging you towards a den where its kin are trapped. The map unfolds not through checklist design, but through organic discovery. Interrogating enemies, piecing together map fragments, or simply spotting smoke in the distance. That balance between authored content and emergent discovery keeps exploration fresh well past the 50-hour mark. Sucker Punch also embraces culture as world building. Atsu carries her shamisen, strumming songs to connect with both family and strangers. She practices sumi-e painting, sketching landscapes and animals as a way of remembering what she's lost. These quiet rituals stand alongside the blood-soaked duels, grounding the experience in something more human. The world is not just a stage for revenge, it is a living tapestry of grief, tradition, and fleeting beauty. At its core, Ghost of Yōtei will feel immediately familiar to anyone who played Ghost of Tsushima. The fundamentals are unchanged. A blend of open-world exploration, cinematic duels, stealth infiltration, and large-scale skirmishes. What has shifted is the philosophy. Where Jin Sakai's combat revolved around mastering katana stances, Atsu's fighting style is more eclectic, built around entire weapons, each with their own rhythms, strengths, and vulnerabilities. You begin with a katana, a reliable all-rounder, But over the course of the story, you train with masters to unlock the Odachi, dual katanas, the Yari spear, and Kasurigama. It's a rock-paper-scissors dynamic in spirit, but less rigid than Tsushima's stances. Spears cut through deal wielders, the Kasurigama smashes shields, and the Odachi obliterates brute enemies. Yet the game really forces you into a single correct choice. Efficiency is the reward for switching fluidity, but it's not the only way forward. By late game, weaving these weapons together mid-combat feels like conducting an orchestra of steel, punctuated by ranged tools like kunoi, smoke bombs, flaming oil, or even the Tanegashima rifle. Combat has a tension Tsushima sometimes lacked. Enemies can now disarm Atsu with yellow attacks, forcing you to scramble for your weapon as foes swarm with opportunism. Pick up and throw a discarded blade and you flip the dynamic, turning desperation into your advantage. It suits Atsu's identity as a mercenary who fights dirty, unbound by honor. She'll kick sand in eyes, yank opponents with chains, or ignite her blade to burn through defenses. It's brutal, messy, and deeply satisfying. Stealth, meanwhile, remains stylized and empowering rather than punishing. You're encouraged to clear camps quickly and violently rather than avoiding confrontation. Chaining assassinations, yanking foes into shadows with the Kasurigama, or summoning your wolf ally for a coordinated takedown never loses its thrill. It's less about realism and more about cinematic fantasy. Sucker Punch understands that it's more fun to feel like a spectral terror than to be bound by rigid stealth rules. Exploration is equally refined. The guiding wind system returns, letting gusts, birds, or foxes guide you without cluttering the screen. A new spyglass encourages observation. Spot a temple in the distance and it's marked for investigation later. Fast travel is nearly instant, but the world is designed to reward detours. Shrines double as traversal challenges, map fragments hint at hidden treasures, and side quests spin into folklore tales of yokai or bounty contracts with unique duels. It's structured but never mechanical. Pacing is perhaps Yotei's greatest triumph. Mission balance spectacle with intimacy. One moment you're dealing beneath a waterfall, the next you're infiltrating as a disguised musician. Side content rarely feels like filler, whether it's saving wolves from hunters, playing a coin-flicking gambling minigame, or helping villagers rebuild after raids. Even after dozens of hours, there's always another lead, another rumor, another reason to explore. The presentation ties this all together. Combat animations are weighty and fluid, sound design makes every clash of steel resonate, and the cinematography leans into its samurai inspiration with wide framing and sudden splashes of violence. The inclusion of filmmaker-inspired visual filters, from Kurosawa's black and white austerity to Mike's hyperviolence. It's more than novelty, it's a statement about how much this series values cinematic identity. In short, Ghost of Yōtei doesn't reinvent the open world template, but it does refine nearly every system it inherits. It takes what was already one of PlayStation's most polished sandboxes and deepens it further, not with bloat, but with tools and ideas that constantly reinforces Atsu's character and the game's themes of vengeance, survival, and legacy. For those of you like me and wired to squeeze every last drop of content out of a game, Ghost of Yōtei is a banquet. The Platinum Trophy spans 54 achievements, but what matters most is how they are designed. Not as filler, not as padding, but as an extension of Atsu's journey. Every corner of Ezo, every duel, every shrine climb carries weight, making the pursuit of the Platinum feel like living her legend in full. The most natural starting point is the narrative. Several achievements track Atsu's revenge against the Yōtei Six, each unlocking as you bring down figures like the snake or kitsune. These aren't just tick box events, they are operatic showpieces staged in striking arenas. One confrontation unfolds in a valley blanketed with burning ginkgo leaves, the flames catching on your blade with every parry. Another has you weaving through shinobi traps in a snowbound village before finally cornering the kitsune. By the time you've cut down all 6, you've seen almost every environment Ezo has to offer, and the Platinum has asked you to experience Atsu's vengeance arc in its most cinematic form. But completionism here isn't only about revenge, it's also about inhabiting Atsu's world, with the silver tier trophies spread across exploration and mastering. defending dojos with legendary senseis, completing bamboo strikes and shrine climbs, or cleansing Yotei's controlled camps. Each one is framed with narrative intent. Bamboo strikes aren't just button tests, they are meditations on precision, stamina and flow, delivering with the cheering or mockery of onlookers. Shrine climbs double as traversal puzzles, pushing you to scale sheer cliffs or swing across frozen waterfalls, rewarding not just with charms but with breathtaking vistas. Even something as basic as clearing out enemy camps feel like an act of world building. You're literally pushing back the Yōtei Six influence, making villages livable again. Then there are the quieter achievements, the ones that round out Atsu's humanity. Roughly half of the bronze set ties into micro-stories, sharing a meal with Husi, interrogating captured foes for scraps of intelligence, or sitting by a fire to play her shamisen. None of these are mechanically demanding, but they enrich the world. One trophy, Wolfbait, has you lure predators into ambushing enemies, and it's a small, cheeky moment that encapsulates how playful Yōtei can be in its design. These little beats matter because they slow the pace of the 100% run, reminding you that Atsu is not just a blade, but a person still tethered to the living world. The animal-focused content deserves special mention. Fox dens return, but they are expanded into multi-staged quests, with the Guardian of Inari trophy culminating in a ceremonial mask that cements Atsu's mythical status. Wolf dens are even stronger. They don't just spawn collectibles, they create emergent moments where your wolf ally appears in standoffs or rescues captured kin. These aren't chores, they're bonding moments wrapped in mechanics, reinforcing the central theme of Atsu as both mercenary and mythical being. For completionists like myself, they're perfect examples of objectives that tick boxes while deepening immersion. Collectibles themselves avoid the map vomit problem. Vanity gear, charms, and armor sets aren't scattered arbitrarily. They each tie back to Atsu's past or her legend. Naming your horse and earning recognition as its rider, retrieving your parents' keepsake from Mount Yōtei, or collecting offerings left at shrines to honor the Onroi. All of it resonates with her personal journey. Even the cosmetic items matter, because they shape how Atsu is perceived in the world. In other games, swapping outfits is fluff. Here, it's part of crafting the ghost's legend. Whether you present as a noble avenger, a spectral terror, or a wandering mercenary. Puzzles and side activities add further texture. Nine-tail puzzle boxes, sumii ink paintings, and mountain requillaries provide contemplative breaks between duels. Gambling with Zeni Hajiki or fishing by moonlight are light-hearted diversions that slot neatly into the checklist. But more importantly, they offer total variety. After an intense duel or fortress raid, stopping to paint a snow-dusted shrine using the DualSense touchpad feels less like busy work and more like breathing space, a pause in the storm of vengeance. Combat mastery plays a central role too. Certain achievements test your grasp of the expanded arsenal, pulling off chain disarms, executing perfect parries, or using weapon classes efficiently. These aren't abstract trials, they tie to Atsu's scrappy mercenary style. Unlike Jin Sakai's rigid samurai stances, Atsu's achievements ask you to fight dirty, to improvise, to embody her fractured psyche in the rhythm of combat. It's one of those rare cases where achievement design mirrors character design so closely, and it makes the Platinum feel more cohesive than most. From a time commitment perspective, Platinum Hunters should expect somewhere between 50 and 100 hours depending on approach. The lower end is achievable for efficiency-focused players who mainline the Yōtei Six, sweep side content in neat circuits, and follow guides for collectibles. But for wanderers, the hours will stretch, because Izzo constantly distracts you with rumors, bounties, or sudden flashes of golden birds in the distance. One evening you might set off to go and raid a fortress, and end up rescuing a wolf, painting 2 shrines, and gambling away half of your coin purse before returning hours later. That's the beauty of it. Even in pursuit of 100%, detours feel natural, rewarding, and woven into Atsu's identity. Missables are almost non-existent, which is a blessing. You can replay missions, revisit zones, and clean up side content at will. That modularity does sometimes soften the narrative punch. The Yōtei Six can be hunted in flexible order, so their arcs don't always interlock as tightly as they might. But for completionists, that freedom is gold. It means you can strategize routes, pace out exploration, and never worry about missing a trophy because of an earlier choice. Ultimately, Ghost of Yōtei nails the completionist loop. It doesn't just dangle numbers, it gives every activity meaning, whether in narrative, mechanics, or world building. By the time the platinum pops, you haven't just cleared a checklist, you've lived Atsu's entire spectrum. Avenger, mercenary, musician, gambler, hunter, folk hero, and myth. For those of us obsessed with squeezing games dry, this is the rare 100% where the grind feels like the point. A life, however fractured, fully inhabited. Ghost of Yōtei doesn't reinvent the open world genre, but it doesn't need to. What Sucker Punch delivers instead is refinement, a sharper combat system built around weapon variety, a more cohesive world that rewards curiosity at every turn, and a protagonist whose vengeance is as personal as it is mythic. Atsu is no mere echo of Jin Sekai. Her journey is harsher, more intimate, and more fractured, but that makes her a fascinating lead. The story has its structural quirks, sure, especially with the modular order of Yōtei Six hunts, yet it remains consistently engaging, enriched by flashbacks, grounded side characters, and surprising moments of levity. Izo itself is the real triumph, a landscape that constantly balances beauty and brutality, encouraging exploration with both design smarts and sheer spectacle. For completionists, the trophy list is a masterclass of integration. Every achievement feels like it grows naturally from the game's systems, ensuring that chasing 100% never dissolves into empty grind. There are stumbles, some recycled side objectives, occasional AI or camera frustrations, but none are enough to dull the edges of what otherwise is a superbly polished, deeply cinematic adventure. Ghost of Yōtei is both a worthy successor to Tsushima and a defining statement in its own right. As always, thank you so much for watching. On your way out, please remember to leave me a like, subscribe to the channel, and definitely comment down below. Until I see you next time, stay nerdy.